Okay, I know we've all been there. You're at a restaurant. You have had a really long day. You're there with your husband. Your kids are freaking out. It's chaos. You're frustrated. You're hungry. And so what do? You give your kid your phone because it makes them be quiet, and they sit there quietly and they don't disrupt anybody. And then instantly you kind of catch a glimpse of somebody else looking at you out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, oh gosh, and you take the phone away, and then what happens? Chaos happens again, right? And you lose your mind, and you go home and you're frustrated, and your kids go to bed, and then what happens? Again, you cry because why? Mom guilt. So if you have ever experienced that, which I know I have, this video is for you. I'm gonna kind of go over just how I cope with mom guilt and how it's totally a thing, and how 90% of the things that you're doing that you feel mom guilt about, everyone else is doing as well. Hey guys, I asked Instagram, and a lot of you guys talked about the topic of balance and how balance doesn't really exist in, like, as a working mom or as a stay-at-home mom. There really is no balance, and that feeling of mom guilt is consistently always there. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about today that mom guilt and how, we need to cut ourselves a little bit of slack. I know for me, I have always worked since having kids. And it's something that I've struggled with, just trying to figure out how not to have a mental breakdown every single day. With that, I think there's a lot that comes into it. When I talk to my friends who are mothers, whether they are working or they're not working, that constant feeling of not being enough is always there. And I think it's something that we need to make a little bit more normal. Balance as a mother is not something that exists. It's not something that exists even as a person. You can set a schedule and you can set aside time to do things, and regardless of what happens, life happens on a day-to-day basis, and that schedule gets screwed up 90% of the time, I feel like. So I feel like with mom guilt and balance in general, it's just honestly cutting yourself a little bit of slack, which I know is a lot easier said than done. I know for me, this last week has been kind of a nightmare with work and life and my kids and all that. And there have been multiple times throughout the week where I have literally lost it. I've lost it while driving. I've lost it in my room, like sobbing. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where you have to just remember that those babies love you for you. For me, especially, some things that help are just, setting aside time when I am with my kids and trying to separate the work and the mom life a little bit, which is very hard to do, especially in the profession that I have. When I'm home, my phone is constantly ringing. I feel like my phone rings from 8 o'clock in the morning or even earlier to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And for me, I've tried to find, a very small balance. I don't want to use the word balance, but just kind of a schedule or boundaries. That's the better word. Boundaries for me that I can set for myself that help me feel a little bit better about, maybe working when I'm at home with my kids or not working or, putting clients aside that way. So for me, something that's helped has been to really set hours. Like, I will not typically answer my phone or pick up for anyone that's not like an emergency before 9 a.m. Just because for me, that's when I'm out the door. That's when that's when my day starts. I've already taken care of my kids. And then I try to turn my phone off the best that I can by like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Just because, in my opinion, anything that's gonna happen that late at night can typically get resolved the next day, unless it's an emergency. So obviously, again, that's where that balance comes in, is it doesn't really exist. Sometimes there are situations where I am taking phone calls at 9 or 10 o'clock at night after my kids have gone to bed. Another thing that's helped me personally, I have a 5-year-old, and he constantly wants my attention, especially when I'm home. And I have found that when I'm on my phone, when I'm at home, my patience is a lot more slim with him. And so if I intentionally try just like one time a day, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour or it's 2 hours or whatever, and no matter what it is, it could be watching a movie, it could be playing Legos with him, it could be taking them to the park or just out to lunch. If I set aside time, just like I said, just a small amount of time to just focus directly on him, and let him know, like, hey, I'm paying attention to you, and I hear you. That helps me a little bit more. I know it sounds like it should be helping him, but I feel like it helps me not feel as guilty on a day-to-day basis. I also feel like sometimes you just have to let go of the expectation that like your laundry is going to be done and your house is going to be clean and things like that. And you just need to take time for yourself. Something that's helped me has been, I've hired house cleaners, which I know is not something that everybody can do. But for me, I would literally donate plasma on a weekly basis if I had to pay for my house cleaners, because for me, that's something that's important, and it helps me mentally. So I think you need to find whatever that is for you. So if that's, going to the gym or taking time for yourself as a mom can really help, I feel like, get rid of some of that mom guilt. A lot of times it adds to it, but taking time when either your kids are asleep or, finding a really great babysitter or someone to stay with your kids while you go and do those things, I feel like really helps, because I know when I leave for work, it sucks to leave them, but 90% of the time I think they're having more fun without me than if I were there. So I love that, but at the same time, again, makes me feel bad, right? So with mom guilt, it's just one of those things where you just have to ebb and flow. I've been talking to friends and asking them how they deal with it. A lot of them will, journal. They'll write down their thoughts in journals and talk about, just kind of getting their thoughts and anxieties and all these things off their chest. I feel like a lot of times as women, we just don't feel like we measure up. And we just feel so like we're just skimming the surface and like, so-and-so is doing better. And I feel like social media does a really good job at making us feel that way. I know for me, when I'm having those days where I'm so down on myself and I'm like, I need to make sensory bins and I need to do these crafts and I need to do this, and then I have all this pile of work and I also want to be like a rock star professional. It's very daunting. And so sometimes you got to check off of social media and get off of that, and just know that as hard as it is to like take into consideration and to remember, but like you are the mom for your kids. Like they chose you. They don't need anybody else. They don't need the mom that does the sensory bins and the fun activities, and they don't need any of that. They need you and they love you. So I think mom guilt is something that, like I said, it's always going to be there. Like it's not something that you can do, like it's not a 1-2 kind of thing where I can give you like, here are 2 things that you can do on a day-to-day basis that's going to get rid of that mom guilt. It's going to always be there. But I think something that's helped me is I was raised with a working mom. And I think this applies for working moms and stay-at-home moms as well, is that you are being a role model for your kids. I look at my kids and I look at like my role as a mother, and I try to explain to them what I'm going to go do. I read a book by Joanna Gaines when she first came out with it. And something that she said resonated so much with me, which was just like she was very vocal with her children about what she was doing when she was doing it. So if she was going to the office, she was talking to them about, like mom's going to the office to go and do this. Or like, for me, it's like mom's going to go show houses, or, when we're out and driving around, this is what mom does for work, those kind of things. And bringing them with me sometimes and letting them experience that. You're teaching your children, like whether you're a photographer or, you sell MLM products and you are trying to build a business and an empire that way, you're showing your children that no matter what obstacles come in life, they can do pretty much anything. I think as a mom, you're teaching your sons that they can marry powerful women and they can raise powerful daughters. And as women who have daughters, you're teaching them that as a role as a mother is important, but it's also so important as well to achieve your dreams and to do the things that are important to you, whatever that may be. So that's been something that's helped me cope with, when I am feeling mom guilt. It's like, why am I doing this? It's to be an example to my kids and to be there. And guess what? Your kids are going to be fine. They love you and they just want you there. So like I said, if you can even give them 5 minutes of your time, just undivided time. I love like the 8-second hugs, or, just being there for them, to listen to them. They know that you love them. So just remind them of that. But they love watching you accomplish your dreams and your goals, and they want to help you. So let them in on those secrets and those dreams and those aspirations, because they will be your biggest cheerleaders. Okay, well, here are some things that at least cause me mom guilt. So I'm just gonna go ahead and name these off and just let you know that I would say more often than not, I either see people doing them or I have friends that have said that they do them. So number 1, when I'm not home, I take time for myself. I like to get my nails done and my hair done, my eyelashes. You can say I'm stereotypical, whatever. They make me feel good about myself. So taking time for yourself. Every now and then when I get home from work and I'm tired, what do? We turn on TV and we watch a show together. So letting your kids watch TV, iPads and iPhones, sometimes it's okay to give your kids those things, because guess what? They need them. taking time to play with friends. If your kids have play dates and things like that, sometimes it's honestly easier to watch, you know, your kid and your kid's friend than it is, or let them go over to their house or whatever. Make sure you delegate. Let other people watch your kids for you so you can have time for yourself. Those are some things. I feel like the iPad and the iPhones are like the biggest ones, right? Obviously screen time and things like that. If that's not something that you agree with, that's totally fine. Again, that's for you, but that's something I think number one for me is my biggest mom guilt. So if you guys liked what you saw today, make sure you like and subscribe and comment below. I want to know what causes you mom guilt. Let's get it off your chest. Let's talk about it. I want to be there for you to let you know that, guess what, regardless of whatever it is that you're doing, guess what, you're still a really good mom and you're kicking butt.